What's up, viewers, subscribers, and agents alike? This is your boy Enlightened Luciferian Prince coming at y'all once again. If you're watching this video around children, please pause this video and remove them from your immediate vicinity because these videos are not for children. Okay, people, I know that this might upset some people. And I know that a lot of people may resonate with what I'm getting ready to say about this very significant day in history, in in America, that now we have, as a society, a holiday, Juneteenth, to be exact. And now people are just so jovial about the whole passing of the legislation and the grandstanding of Biden and Kamala Harris, wearing their kente cloth and kneeling in honor of it. Let me tell y'all something. This is a fucking joke. It's a fucking joke, people. You have to realize that this is just another polite fuck you to the Afrocentric diaspora in this country. That's what it is. It's a gesture to say, you've been complaining for too long. Here's something. Shut the fuck up. The crazy part about it, in of it all, this is the same establishment that wants to remove critical race theory from school curriculum. So, where does this leave the people who this has been passed for? It leaves you juxtaposed because guess what? Here's, on one hand, an establishment of a so-called federal holiday. But on the opposite end, they don't even want to explain why it exists in the first fucking place. It just gets worse by the fucking day. I know everybody out there might be cooking out, having little barbecues, buying little t-shirts, all this shit. Let me tell you something. If you look back in history, from the passing of the Emancipation Proclamation, right? There was an 1863. So in 1863, until June 19th, all in Galveston, Texas, of 1865, people that were enslaved were not informed about a legal act until 2 fucking years later. Not to mention, there has also been stories of people even after slavery was abolished, that didn't even know they were slaves even until the late 1900s. Y'all don't believe me? Do your research. Up until the fucking 60s. People. It's a joke. It's a fucking joke. Serious. Now, people might not agree with what I'm saying. I'm just being real. It's a fucking joke. It's a conundrum because in the reality, they don't want to acknowledge why it exists, but it exists. I keep telling y'all, don't fucking ask a system that keeps making problems to find you a solution. Because this is what it does. This is what it does. It gives you false senses of inclusion without ever giving you any real viable solution. Let me tell y'all something. This is the real reason why no such thing as reparations will ever exist in this country. You know why? Because that means that the people who've done the wrong have to give back the land to the people they've wronged. That will never fucking happen. See, it's not about money and checks and free education, all that bullshit. It's not about all that. It's not about that. That's paltry compared to the bigger picture. That means they have to give the land back to the indigenous native people and get the fuck out of here. And totally dissolve their government. That's what reparations will entail. That's what y'all don't get. Now, some of us may know this, but the reality is it's not about money. It's not about fiat. It's about repairing and giving land, because there were a lot of communities of melanated people who actually owned land. And unfortunately, because of the begrudging nature of the capitalist system and the underdog who otherwise coincided to tear apart communities of people of color to fuck their land up, take shit from them. You know what I'm saying? They didn't even want shit. They just tore it all up. This has existed for a very long time in this plane we call United States. But they keep gesturing at every angle. And this is the sad part. They know that because of the political pandering, it does not take much to please majority people of color. They know that. That's why they keep doing what they do. See, all these campaigns and all this shit going on, people, this has been happening for a very long fucking time. This shit ain't new. This is not new. You know what America's like? We all grew up watching, those in a certain age range, grew up watching The Cosby Show, right? Ain't none of them motherfuckers in the show named Cosby. They're all Huxtables. Why the fuck is it called The Cosby Show? Think about it. That's America. Straight up. It coincides with the identity that you have to realize that this shit that's going to keep happening is only going to happen because you participate in that shit. The moment you stop participating, it stops. People may disagree with what I'm saying, and that's fine. It's perfectly fine. The moment people of color stop participating with this government, this shit will crumble. That's it. Same guy that turned around and said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. That did what? Prompted people of color to rush to the polls and put this cocksucker in office and turn around, and the first thing he do is sign a bill for some motherfucking gay folks. Asian community. Everything else. Whoa, your pledge was made. And this is the reason why you get tricked by politicians. Straight up. Because they cater to your opinion. Not the fact of your reality. They cater to your opinion about some shit. Then you got the Black Caucus, they call themselves, who put this bullshit petition online and asked people of color, what do you think reparations should consist of? This is no joke. This is a proven fucking fact. So now it's a checklist, right? But you have to realize that you're living in a system that in and of itself does not favor you whatsoever. This is why I totally speak about functional sovereignty on my motherfucking channel. Because you can't rely on a sickness to develop a wellness. You have to be the remedy. Because this is what they would do. Oh, they're pleased now. We can go back to fucking them over some more. And until you become economically and systematically fed the fuck up, it's going to keep doing what it's doing. I bet you some of y'all don't even know that lynching is still legal in the United States. But it just took on a different form. But it's still fucking legal. Yes, it is. If you doubt what I'm saying, here's a piece of literature that you can read. It's called it's a book that was written in the 1950s called An American Dilemma. Read page 566 and look at the new form of lynching in the United States. It's by police. Don't take my word for it. Read the fucking book. This was written in the 50s. I think what I'm referring to is probably second edition, but yeah, straight up. What it does is it criminalizes the individual who was killed by police to justify the reason why it was done, even though it still takes on the guise of lynching, because remember, before people were lynched in the past, they had to be accused of doing some shit that really, in and of itself, was just mere accusations. That shit still happens in this country. The first thing that they always want to bring up when it comes to a person being executed by police is their past. Oh, he had a couple of domestic violence charges. Oh, he had a couple of infractions with that don't mean you have the right to take that person's life. Because if it happened to their punk asses, let's talk about all the shit that happened with their infractions in their career. Oh, well, they were a part of the structure. No. Fuck that. Fuck that. Humanity is about the respect and the sanctity of life. You didn't motherfucking bring it in here, you can't take it out. Because when the shit start happening in the opposite direction, then everyone wants to sit down and have discussions and meetings and talk at tables and be civil about shit. We don't need that. That's all show. We know that. And that's exactly why they just did what they did. It's all for show, people. It's a fucking stage. So, before your charcoals burn out for celebrating, I'm going to say celebrate in the strict sense of it, this so-called federal holiday, remember, people, it has no real significance to the pertinence of the future about why shit is going the way it's going. It's going to keep going that way. And they know this. It takes a little bit more than just marching down the street and all. You got these motherfucking, on the opposite end of the spectrum, white folks walking around here with kente cloth on. Like, it's a fucking mockery. It's a joke. It is. Don't take my word for it. Do your research. You're making a joke of it. Sips water. It's a fucking joke, people. I know this might break a couple people's hearts and consciences, but people, this is not a fucking victory. This is not a victory. It's not. It's not. I will say this one more time. They passed it, but don't want to explain to future generations or acknowledge why it exists in the first fucking place. That's a very fundamental fact. They don't want to acknowledge why it exists, but we'll make it exist, but we don't want to talk about it. This country has a history of burying shit. And in this age of information, they don't want things to be passed because they know that as people start to develop a sense of information and gathering information and garnering that information, then it has a different outcome as far as the future is concerned. So the idea is to suppress the advancement of thought in regards to what something really is. Just like most of us. We thought people in our lives were so fucking high and mighty. They were so beyond reproach until we started gathering information about who they were and what the agenda was and why they operated. I remember I said in the previous video, Rosa Parks, right? People still to this day argue with me. Well, she was a civil rights figure. No, she wasn't. In the respective sense of her actually participating, she was a front woman for the real individual who gets no credit still to this day, Claudette Colvin, who particularly at the time wasn't old enough to lead that on her own because they tried to taint her because she was pregnant by a pastor and she was 15 years old. And she didn't fit the description that was necessary to proceed with that particular movement. But when we were younger, they told us she was good as a motherfucking gold. And that's America, because it always puts figures before you. And in reality, it's once you learn the truth, it shatters that fundamental concept of the indoctrination that education today wants to feed to your children tomorrow. That's a fact. So all these, what I call rocket raccoons, who basically try to appeal to this approach, let me tell y'all something. There is nothing more dangerous to the fundamentals of an ethnicity than your own going against what is better for you in favor of appeasement to the opposite end that wants to destroy you. It's nothing worse. So Martin Luther King Jr. didn't work for you, worked against you. You just don't know that. And all these other individuals, Reverend Jesse Jackson, all these, they work against you. They do. They do not have your best interest at hand. They pretend, but they don't. The only individual that can have your best interest at hand is yourself and how you properly educate your generation onto the next in order for them to be equally prepared to endure the opposition. And you just learned a very significant truth in less than 18 minutes. Now, I know a lot of people might not accept what I have to say. Fine, so be it. But the truth still remains, and the line is drawn in the sand. Because we have more than enough ample evidence, historically, to prove that this is chicanery at its best. It's a mockery. That's what it is. It's a mockery. Here's what we'll do for all people that are of the ilk. You know, we don't want reparations. We don't want that shit. We don't want it. Fuck it. We tired of asking. We don't want shit. Here's what we want. You pass the executive order that fundamentally will give entities of color, ethnicity, the right to revoke their citizenship without charge, and to expatriate themselves and provide funds that are necessary for them to relocate to wherever the fuck they want on this earth. That's how you got to do it. And we will gladly get the fuck out of here. Now, I'm going to keep it real. I'm not getting on that first plane because guess what? It just so happens you get on that plane. Next thing you know, you think it ain't the gravy. And then all of a sudden, you look out the window and then you see a projectile just coming through the sky. I'm not getting on that first plane. Shit. I'm not. I'm just saying, that's the game they're going to play. You're going to see that shit fly. Just, we all going. We going to Ghana and that motherfucker, pew. Y'all think I'm lying, man. I'm serious. You can't have peace. God damn it. Move elsewhere. You feel me? Straight. Long story short, if your first time viewing this channel, like and subscribe. It's the first time actually view this channel, and make sure you hit that notification button so every time I drop a video, you'll be informed. But people, stay woke. And please don't be rocked to sleep by entreaties by the enemy. Don't. That's all it's doing. It's just basically putting you in a state of complacency. Oh, we matter now. We have a federal holiday. Hell, the Roman government killed a messianic figure and turned them into what? You doubt what I'm saying? It's a fucking fact. They deify those people they kill. Stop believing in the illusion. You see what I'm saying? Hell, they built the whole empire based upon the deification of what they killed. Do you still find that hard to believe? Or are you out of your fucking mind? Well, that's a question you might have to ask yourself. But stay tuned for the next upload. Peace, light, love. And to agents, fuck you. You know, they ain't gonna stop doing what I do. Fuck that. It's gonna keep coming. Stay tuned. Stay woke.